Hello there, I'm Begalius, and I know what you might be thinking. If you watched my previous video, another new setup. What is going on with you, man? What in the midlife crisis is happening to you? Well, I'll have you know, I'm only 86. I want to play around with a few methods, and I like this. I actually really like the way that this one looks. We do have some news, some stuff to talk about to kick things off. The Last of Us, and apparently Neil, our boy Neil Druckmann, has stated that don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath with regards to a Last of Us 3, which is so bizarre to me. Like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. That is how much of a hard time I'm having. I can't really figure out why they wouldn't release another one. And I did my research. And it does turn out that Last of Us 2 wasn't quite as successful as Last of Us 1, but it still sold 10 million copies, which is a lot of copies, particularly for a single-player game. And it would have made a lot of money. And I guess my big question is, what have you guys been doing then? What have you been doing if you've not been developing Last of Us? Like, I get that there's that new sci-fi game coming out. They were working on the Last of Us 2 multiplayer, but I refuse to believe that that's all they were doing, because how many years did it take? I mean, think about it, right? The gap between the last entry, and sometimes, man, you get a last entry in that gap. The gap between the last entry and now is 5 years. The gap between Last of Us 2 and Last of Us 1 was 7. We're 2 years off of that gap, and in that time, between 1 and 2, they managed to release Uncharted 4, they did some DLC, they did some remasters, and I just don't see why that process has slowed down so much. It almost feels like a 343 situation where it's like, guys, don't get it. We couldn't figure out how to code the word matchmaking into, it's not our fault. But I know they're working on this new game. Here's hoping it's huge. I really do hope it is. Because, I mean, Sony need a W right now. And it seems very confusing to me that they wouldn't accept what is, quite frankly, what feels like just something offered up to them on a plate, with The Last of Us. Particularly as The Last of Us is doing tremendously well as a TV show right now. And Pedro Pascal is one of the biggest names in all of film and TV at the moment. He's a big deal. I don't know why you wouldn't want to ride off of the traction of that. I mean, I guess they have their reasoning. Maybe they're just turning The Last of Us into a TV show now, and that's what it's going to be. Or maybe they just haven't told Neil to make the game anyway, and they're like, guys, don't tell Neil. Whatever you do, just don't tell Neil. Or maybe they're trying to appeal to the incels who are like, a woman, and they're backing off and not letting Neil have any creative control. I really hope that's not the case. I hate it when incels get their own way. Anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts on that. It's very confusing. I guess the new game is going to be huge, and maybe that's why it's taken so long to develop. I'm just not a fan of this new super long dev cycle situation. The super long dev cycle situation is crazy. I'll see you later.